Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dax, and today we're diving into a fascinating topic that can really help us navigate life's ups and downs, Stoicism and the art of detachment. Alongside me are your favorite hosts, Zakaria and Yara, who will be guiding you through this journey. In this podcast, we're going to explore how Stoic detachment can be a game changer, especially for teens dealing with challenges like peer pressure, academic stress, and identity formation. We'll focus on personal development, emotional intelligence, and practical life skills that can help you grow and thrive. So if you're looking to build resilience and learn how to handle life's stresses with grace, you're in the right place. Let's get started.
Okay, so today we're diving into something that might sound kind of, contradictory, maybe even a little scary to some people. Stoic detachment.
Hmm.
Because we've all heard the phrase, right? But is it really about becoming completely unfeeling, like some kind of robot?
Not quite. See, that's what's so interesting about this concept. It's not about, shutting down our emotions or anything, but more about really understanding where our power lies. And sometimes it's more about realizing what we can't control.
Okay, I'm listening. So we're not aiming for indifference, but
Yeah.
maybe something more like being intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it this way. You're on your way to a big meeting, super important, and you hit every single red light. Now, you're totally frustrated, right? Start pounding the steering wheel.
Yeah.
But is that really going to make the lights change any faster?
Probably not. Honestly, it'll probably just make the whole drive even more stressful.
Exactly. And that's where Stoicism comes in. It's like saying, okay, so you can't control the traffic lights, right? But you can control how you react to them.
Mm.
You can let it ruin your whole day, or you can find a way to roll with it. Maybe, put on your favorite podcast. That's something you have control over.
I get it. So it's about recognizing that, yeah, things happen good and bad, but our power lies in how we react, not in just wishing things were different. Which is actually kind of empowering when you really think about it.
That's exactly what the Stoics, those ancient philosophers, were getting at. For them, this wasn't just some theory. It was a way of life.
So who were these Stoics? I mean, were they really just walking around totally unfazed by, well, everything?
Well, they were human, right? Just like us. And they lived in a world, let me tell you, full of uncertainty, full of challenges. Just think about guys like Zeno. He's the one who got the whole Stoicism thing going, or Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius. These weren't just philosophers. They were emperors, advisors. They were living this philosophy in the real world with very real problems.
Okay, so they weren't all talk. They actually walk the walk. Huh?
Yeah. And, when you read their writing, it's clear they experienced the whole range of human emotions, the good and the bad. But there was a key difference. They had tools to deal with them. They understood that. Happiness. It doesn't come from always getting what we want. It comes from, mastering how we respond to whatever life throws our way.
That's pretty profound when you think about it. So how did they actually put this Stoic detachment into practice? Because it's easy to say don't sweat the small stuff, but in the moment, when you're in it.
It's tough. You're right. It's definitely not like flipping a switch. It's a practice.
Mm.
And one of the most, I think, powerful tools they used was just awareness. Like really being present in the moment, noticing your thoughts and feelings without, judging them.
Like that pause button you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
But instead of going down the rabbit hole of why me, it's more about making room to choose a different way to react.
Exactly. And a big part of that is shifting our focus to things we can actually control, like that traffic light example. We can't control when they change, but we can control how we react, right? How we think about it.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But what about relationships? This is where I think a lot of people might, get thrown off a bit. Doesn't detaching kind of make you cold, emotionally unavailable?
That's a common worry for sure. But the Stoics would actually say the opposite is true. They believe that detaching actually makes our relationships stronger.
Now that's interesting. How so?
Think about it. When we can let go of needing other people to act a certain way, to constantly validate us, to reassure us, we can actually be more present with them, more giving.
So it's not about detaching from the person themselves, but detaching from the expectations that we put on them, or even on how the relationship should be.
Exactly. It's about accepting that we can't control other people, their feelings, their choices. But we can control how we respond, how we engage.
That's a good point. It's about taking responsibility for our own, I guess you could say, side of the street. But then how does Stoicism deal with, love, connection? Because this is starting to sound, I don't know, a little unromantic maybe.
The Stoics, they really valued loving relationships. They thought they were really important. But they also knew that for a connection to last, To be real, it couldn't be built on neediness,
Yeah.
clinging to the other person. They believed that by letting go of that need to control, we could actually experience a much deeper kind of love.
So it's about loving someone for who they are, not who we want them to be, right?
Yes. And it's about embracing the reality that nothing in life is permanent, not even love. And that might sound kind of harsh, but it's actually very freeing. Well, because when we accept impermanence, kind of like the changing seasons, nothing stays the same forever. It makes us appreciate the present moment even more, I think. We enjoy the joy, the connection, without needing it to last forever, without clinging.
That's definitely a different way to think about it. So it's not about pretending that the pain of loss doesn't exist. It's more about finding a way to, I don't know, appreciate what we have right now even more deeply.
Yeah, that's it. And that depth of appreciation, the ability to really be present with someone
Mm-hmm.
without needing them to make us feel whole or complete, that's powerful.
It sounds like it. But let's be real for a sec. I think some people listening might be thinking, okay, all this sounds good in theory, but isn't this just pushing down your emotions, like bottling everything up?
It's a good point. It's something the Stoics actually talked about a lot. They weren't saying we should ignore our emotions or try to pretend they're not there. What they believed in was acknowledging them fully, but looking at them through reason.
So it's more about choosing how we respond to our emotions rather than just letting them control us.
Right. Think of it like this. You're holding the emotion in your hand. You're turning it over, looking at it from all sides, asking, okay, what's making me feel this anger? What's the best way, the most helpful way to react here? And that's how we figure out, the best way to move forward.
So we're not pretending that we don't have bad emotions. It's about finding ways to process them in a way that's healthy and productive.
You got it. The Stoics understood that our emotions, good and bad, they're part of what makes us human. But they also knew that our emotions could sometimes mislead us, make us do things we regret, ultimately just lead to more suffering.
So Stoic detachment is less about being emotionless and more about finding that gap between feeling and reaction, the space where we can choose how to move forward.
Yeah. It's about realizing that we always have a choice, even when it doesn't feel like it. We can react without thinking, let our emotions decide, or we can respond with a clear head, with courage, with wisdom.
This is making me think about a time when I could have really used some Stoic wisdom, actually. I had this big presentation at work, and I was so nervous, like really nervous. My anxiety was through the roof. It was pretty obvious, too. And looking back, I can see how things could have been different if I had approached the whole thing with, well, a little more Stoic detachment.
Oh, yeah. What do you think Stoicism could have done for you in that situation?
Well, instead of getting all caught up in what if this happens or what if they hate my ideas, I could have focused on my prep work, my delivery, even just remembering to breathe, things I could actually control.
It sounds like you were really attached to the outcome, to this idea that everything had to go perfectly. And that's where Stoicism reminds us that we can't control everything. But we can control our effort and how we respond to whatever happens.
That's it, exactly. I was so worried about things going wrong that I forgot to focus on what I could actually do to make them go right. It's like by trying so hard to control the uncontrollable stuff, I missed out on the stuff I actually could influence.
That's such an easy trap to fall into.
Yeah.
But the more we practice this idea, this Stoic detachment, the more we get used to putting our energy towards what really matters. Our actions, our reactions, that inner state of mind.
It really is easy to get stuck in that worry cycle. But you're right, the power is in changing our focus.
Yeah.
So for someone listening, thinking, okay, Stoic detachment, great, but how do I actually start? What would you tell them?
Well, first thing to remember, Stoicism. It's not about like a complete personality makeover overnight, right? It's a practice, like learning anything else. Small steps, one day at a time. Start with noticing. When you're hooked on something outside of you, that's the first step.
So say you're freaking out about a presentation. Instead of going down that anxiety spiral, it's about hitting pause, asking yourself, all right, what can I actually do something about here?
Exactly. And, those Stoics, they had this saying, might be helpful to keep in mind. They said, real happiness, it doesn't come from getting what you want. It's from no longer being controlled by what you think you need.
Whoa, that's kind of deep. So it's like we can get so caught up in wanting right, always thinking, if I just got that promotion, that new phone, that relationship, then I'd be happy. But the Stoics are saying contentment.peace. That comes from somewhere else entirely.
It's like we're always chasing something outside of us, But real fulfillment, it's not something you chase down. It's something you build from the inside out.
So not denying ourselves nice things or ambitions, but finding a balance. Because real satisfaction isn't some finish line, it's something we cultivate within ourselves.
You got it. It's about living by your values. Remember those Stoic virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, moderation. When those line up, that's where you find a life that feels meaningful. And that's true no matter what's going on around you.
This has been amazing. I feel like I have a whole new way of looking at, well, life, really. How to handle all the ups and downs with a little more, I don't know, grace, resilience.
It's been great exploring this stuff with you. And hey, remember, Stoicism, it's not about becoming some detached, uncaring person. It's about finding that inner strength, that clarity, so you can be more present, more engaged, and yeah, ultimately find more joy in life.
So not checking out of life, but showing up more fully, with more purpose, more heart.
Exactly. And that's a journey worth taking, my friend.
Absolutely. And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive into Stoic detachment gave you some new things to think about. Maybe even inspired you to try out some of these practices yourself. And remember, like any good philosophy worth its salt, Stoicism is made to be explored, debated, but most importantly, lived. Until next time, happy diving, everyone.
Thanks for sticking around till the end of the podcast. We hope you found our dive into Stoicism and the power of detachment insightful and empowering. Remember, these tools are here to help you navigate the challenges of teenage life with resilience and wisdom. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content on personal development and practical life skills. Don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts or any questions you have. We'd love to hear from you. And if you think this video could help someone you know, go ahead and share it with your friends. Until next time, keep growing and stay strong.